whatoplay presents the 25 PlayScore games of June 2019. The PlayScore is an average of gamer and critic ratings. When a game only reaches the minimum requirement of critic and gamer reviews, it receives a provisional PlayScore. Generals and Rulers. The main gripes to this strategy game from Hamsters Gaming is 1. Its trailer feels more like a management training ad than a game. And 2, there's really not much strategy involved. What makes Generals and Rulers so good though is that it distills this whole world domination thingy into something anyone with an hour or two can do. That, on top of its attractive UI, makes it more than worthy of its provisional PlayScore of an 8.
Control time itself.
Timespinner. Retro style might be grating and overused in the hands of lesser developers.
I will use this power to change history, no matter what the cost.
But Chucklefish always lends the highest respect for the era, making their games feel like they're pulled right out of the 90s. Timespinner luckily has that going for it. While some critics weren't satisfied with the game's challenges and the way it utilizes its time-bending mechanics, it still plays pretty well on the Switch. And as an accessible Metroidvania that might even cater to fans of Chrono Trigger, it receives a score of 8.13. Collection of Mana. Speaking of taken right out of the 90s, Square Enix has some ideas of their own. Collection of Mana spans the spin-off trilogy that began with the Final Fantasy adventure in 1991. The subsequent and acclaimed ARPG Secret of Mana and perhaps the most exciting for fans in the US, the localization of Trials of Mana. It fulfills its duty of bringing together the Seiken Densetsu games as it's known for in Japan. If a little age and clunkiness doesn't scare you too much, it's a great little package with a PlayScore of 8.16. Contra Anniversary Collection. Contra explodes into the scene of Konami's 50th anniversary. We can't tell though whether or not this helps with their coming shooter, Contra Rogue Cops, that's far removed from their 2D roots. This gathers around all 10 games of the series into one. It is a solid collection for fans, but it was a little pricey for others, considering that some of them are effective duplicates of the other titles. It gets its highest score of 8.20 on the PlayStation 4, with provisional scores on the PC, Xbox One, and the Switch. Super Neptunia RPG. The personified console gang might have been breaking planar boundaries, and they don't seem to be up to snuff with their iconic real-life counterparts. While they got some decent reviews from other players on Steam, Super Neptunia RPG had more than a few issues on the PlayStation 4, and especially on the Switch. While there are minor gripes against their unfamiliar aesthetic, more serious criticisms like bugs, gameplay issues, and other technical hiccups haunt the two console ports. It gets a score of 8.21 on the PC, 7.25 on the PlayStation 4, and 6.37 on the Switch.
Before we go on vacation, we need to make sure you look relaxed.
Vacation Simulator.
Is the most efficient place to start.
Hey, even robots get stressed by the daily 9 to 5.
Power supply. Channel your inner animal, human.
The return of Alchemy Labs takes you out of the four walls of their job simulator and into the sunny isles or snowy peaks of a fully optimized robot vacation.
They saw this inefficiency. I'll take it from here.
Oh, efficiency bot.
While it does set in a whole new environment, Vacation Simulator stays true to its roots.
One-of-a-kind human back storage device.
It's no mechanical breakthrough, but it's as hilarious a puzzle-solving experience as the original.
If you don't take any pictures, does the force really exist? Hashtag no.
It receives a play score of 8.25 on the PlayStation 4.
That is how you...
Quake II RTX. The future is 1997. This latest version of the more than 2-decade-old FPS might cost you an arm and a leg to fully experience. What RTX basically means is that it uses the ray tracing technology that renders realistic lighting for each scene in real time. It's a state-of-the-art tech that's mostly been used in today's big-budget movies. This is Nvidia's baby steps toward the future. While it does seem like a struggle to play for anyone without the RTX 2060, but with some renderer workarounds, you'll get at least a modern Quake II experience in your hands. For gamers on Steam, every bit counts with a score of 8.26. Trover saves the universe. Your favorite voices from Rick and Morty are out exploring.
That's what the abstainers look like?
No, saving the universe in a whole new set of bodies. First released on the PlayStation 4, this month it landed on the PC and it got most of the same praise as it did in its debut.
Alright, come on, let's go to the telepod. It's back the other way.
It's short and simple, and as most VR games go, it'll be fun for anyone who's a fan of creator Roiland's irreverent, profanity-riddled flavor.
Hey man, I gotta say, at least that pop-up guy's not harassing us. Alright, this is what I'm talking about.
And for anyone disappointed by the short length and steep asking price, there is a free DLC in the works, so there's more Trover content coming for you either way.
Oh, you're pushing this house over.
It receives a squanching score of 8.28.
This is Lilith. Sanctuary is under attack. All civilians evacuate the city immediately.
Borderlands 2, Commander Lilith, and the fight for Sanctuary. What might be today's god of all marketing strategies, Gearbox Software surprises fans of the series with a good old bonus DLC for, wait for it, absolutely free.
This isn't over yet. Just tell me where to point this sumbitch!
Borderlands has already had a history of great expansions. And far from just setting the stage for the third installment, which apparently does well, this Lilith DLC adds to that long history. It is packed with classic Borderlands story, humor, and even loot. It gets you begging for more, garnering provisional play scores of 8.37 on the PC and 8.10 on the Xbox One. Slay the Spire. It might not look like much, but this game has been one of the hottest titles since its release on the PC and PS4. And finally, it comes to the Switch. With card games falling off the trend, Slay the Spire's use of turn-based and roguelike mechanics makes for an addictive mix that will push you to keep getting better. Without the hassle of narratives, you can feel fully immersed in the action, which never gets old, all thanks to its branching paths and many randomly generated surprises. The game has a score of 8.41. Spider-Man Far From Home Virtual Reality Experience. There isn't much you can expect from video game tie-ins for movies. They're hit and miss. However, while they missed with last year's Homecoming VR, Sony definitely hit the mark with Far From Home. Leveling up the VR experience is a bit much considering it's still a 20-minute video game with not much replay value. Far From Home, though, drives home that you can be Spider-Man feel. There's story mode that lets you experience the dangers of fighting drones, and there's also a free-to-play mode that lets you swing around New York as you please. It is awesome and free with a score of 8.42. SENRAN KAGURA Reflections. After all the hot and heavy fighting they do, girls need a bit of a rest, and in this game, the rest is your job and enjoyment. SENRAN KAGURA knows their audience, and for a low price, you'll get to fulfill your dreams of giving your beloved waifus the relaxation they need. While caressing and massaging is fun, Reflection also comes with a storyline that will lead you through 7 different storylines and endings. At least that's something. It's making a more successful debut on the PC with a score of 8.47. Cadence of Hyrule Crypt of the Necrodancer featuring The Legend of Zelda. Yes, you heard that right. Definitely made for avid fans of all the franchises named, this rhythmic adventure game from Brace Yourself Games is a crossover you never knew you needed. Link and Zelda play by the rules of the Crypt of the Necrodancer's gameplay as they jive to the beat of randomly generated dungeons in tile-based fashion. It's a fan service game that no one expected, and it's packed with some smooth and remixed Zelda tunes, with Easter eggs and even notable bosses. The game receives a score of 8.50. Super Mario Maker 2. There's always enough room for Mario, especially in Nintendo's hybrid console. Of course, everyone knows how Mario games work. Exercise your creativity in this content-packed workshop made for true Mario and platformer fans. It has everything you could imagine in a Mario game. An endless supply of Mario content that comes along with pre-built courses and fun co-op levels to mess around with friends. It is as big as its predecessor, and with the Switch's capabilities, it does get better as it receives a play score of 8.46.
I've never been particularly fond of violence, but these are bad people that need to be stopped. So let's get crazy, let's get weird, let's get, well, bananas.
My Friend Pedro. There's not enough games that make us look really cool, but thankfully enough for Devolver, My Friend Pedro has it covered. Remember the movie Wanted? Imagine that, but with a talking banana to back you up. This action-packed shoot-'em-up is all about killing every thug you see with style. It is a gorgeous and violent ballet of bullets and blood. If you've seen enough gameplay videos, you know what we're talking about. The game receives a play score of 8.63 on the PC and a 7.81 for the Switch. Ideology and Friction. We're not even sure how this game made it to the PC. RPG Maker sure does give us questionable amount of content, but it does provide fun to those who are into this kind of stuff. Basically, you control 2 knights as they embark on an RPG adventure courtesy of RPG Maker's customization features. It's pretty much like any other JRPGs with a bit of, sexual content. So if you want this game, you could try it out because it receives a reasonable play score of 8.64.
Where's our guy going?
On his way towards Pink Street. Crowd's thinning out. Get your ass over here.
Got it.
Judgment. Sega's spin-off to the famed Yakuza series is in the form of a Park Chan-wook movie.
Come on!
Part thriller, part action-adventure. Embark on a more serious take on crime-filled Japan. Instead of spending time in karaoke bars, you get to solve cases and get the job done using your wits and your fists. The game received positive praise due to its gameplay, story,
it's in one little corner of this city that I run a detective agency,
and graphics.
Too bad the pay sucks.
Don't hate, man.
It receives a play score of 8.65 on the PlayStation 4. F1 2019 Anniversary Edition. Ready yourself for another round of racing in this annual formula game from Codemasters. Like every other installment, the game gets better every year. But this is no ordinary 2019 version. This Golden Anniversary Edition boasts a handful of new content, including 2 classic cars such as the Ferrari F10 and the McLaren MP425. And if you're a huge fan of the Formula 1 series, this version is an added experience, although nothing much has changed in terms of gameplay.
Again, your teammate wants to pass you. I know you don't want to drop a position, but without your turbo, he's the best one to challenge for points further up the field. If you hold Lucas up, you could be denying the team points.
The game receives a play score of 8.69 on the PC, and the rest for the other consoles. Crash Team Racing Nitro-Fueled. Start your engines because Crash Team Racing gets a nitrous boost in this remake of the original CTR that shaped our childhood. Nitro-Fueled goes full throttle with its crazy reimagining of our favorite Crash Bandicoot characters in all their glory. And aside from their reworked visuals, the stakes are even higher in this version as it's packed with more content than usual, with more tracks, characters, and even better multiplayer. The PlayStation 4 gets a play score of 8.81, and the others receive a play score of 7.90 and 7.91. Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. Definitely one of the highlights for this month. Koji Igarashi's exploration-focused Metroidvania is something different, yet familiar compared to the other games coming out this year. It is as gothic as it can be, and just like its original inspiration, Castlevania, you enter a mysterious castle plagued with demonic threats and use a variety of abilities to take them down. Balancing its lush 2.5D graphics with a solid and engaging story, Ritual of the Night doesn't hold back with its massive amount of content. It receives a play score for the PS4 with 8.86, and the rest of the consoles follow. Car Mechanics Simulator. It is always a joy to see simulators flourishing in the video game market. From farming simulators to VR jobs, this genre is something really different. Built for educational purposes only, unleash that inner grease monkey inside of you as you build and expand your own repair services. Now out on the consoles, this wonderful mechanical experience is something everyone should go through, especially when you just had your driver's license. The game receives a score of 8.89 and 8.84. Amid Evil. If anyone wants a slightly toned down version of Quake, this game from New Blood is something for you. Mixing fast-paced first-person shooter and fantasy, use a variety of magical relics to slay enemies and take back the ancient lands. And aside from the power of Unreal Engine 4, this brutal shooter has some snazzy colors that can even run on toaster PCs. Amidst all the endless evil, the game is great with a play score of 8.90. Mushroom Cats. A point-and-click game about cats is all we need right now. Set inside the magical land of Toadstool, help these possum creatures thrive for free. Well, to be honest, there's really nothing to talk about except for dressing these creatures to survive the harsh winter. So just sit back, relax, and enjoy these adorable critters do their thing in this strange world. It has a score of 9.39 on the PC. Revenger. Indie games are something. What they lack in budget, they compensate for their unique stories. Revenger is what you call a meta game. It's self-aware and it's not shy to tell you how to do things the way they want it to be. And as a wannabe hero, fulfill quests and make choices with whatever floats your boat. It is a non-linear adventure, and as crazy as it sounds, it has 100 different endings. That's something The Witcher and Skyrim couldn't hold a candle to. A score of 9.46 on the PC. Muse Dash. Oh boy. Pero Games isn't slowing down with the waifu fest in this cute, albeit silly rhythm game. You know it's all about the fan service. Mixing traditional music game and simple platformer isn't something new nowadays. But the presence of these adorable anime ladies makes you want to lock your bedroom door for hours, if you know what I mean. How did this game even get to Nintendo's moral standards? Anyhow, the game receives a score of 9.75 on the PC and 7.50 on the Switch.